Hi everyone, thanks for joining today. This is Luke Rowan from the EdApp team. Um, I'm joined by a few team members from the ATD organisation, and we're very happy to be presenting this webinar today.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining today's webinar on EdApp. So what we spend the next hour on is Luke's going to show us the EdApp mobile-first authoring tool. This session is being recorded, and we will send it out to all registrants after it's over. And with that, Luke, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you.
Brilliant. Thank you for that, Juan. Yeah, as I said, we're very excited to be hosting a webinar today. Obviously, we're part of a series of authoring tools, and we're really looking forward to showcasing our solution. It is quite novel and different from others that you'd find on the market. So we have a really hands-on demonstration. And I'm actually joined by a team member from our learning team. His name is Sam. You can say hi, Sam.
Hello, how's everyone doing?
So Sam's going to be providing the demonstration of the authoring features, as he is has a very deep background in education and authoring. So to kick things off, I'm just going to provide a little bit of background on our platform and really frame up the authoring demonstration. So EdApp is both a cloud-based authoring tool and a delivery platform as well. We're quite unique in the fact that we combine both solutions. And you'll see both of those solutions in action in a second. On the authoring front, our approach to building out micro-learning is a little bit different. We actually use a series of templates to be able to build out micro-learning. And that is really fantastic, because it allows us and allows our clients to be able to build out content much more rapidly than you would find with other solutions. In addition to that, the templates that we have available have really been constructed using data to really define a better user experience. And we'll show you that. On the learner side, we have a mobile-first platform. Yes, our solution does work on the desktop, but our solution has very much been designed for mobile-first delivery of micro-learning. So alongside a really beautiful user experience, we have some fantastic features that really drive engagement. So things like push notifications to reach out to learners and make sure those completion rates of content remain high. Brain Boost is our feature for spaced repetition, and that's great for driving knowledge retention. We also have a range of exciting features to actually give away instant rewards in the form of electronic gift cards to learners to incentivize participation, and ultimately that leads to greater completion rates and really building a culture of learning within organizations. And then finally, within our tool, we have a fully fledged analytics suite that will be able to allow you to capture any analytics that you want from the micro-learning. We are a global organization. We're quite young. We're only 4 years old, but we have offices in London, Sydney, and New York, and we have an audience of customers right across the globe. So every day on our platform, we see around 50,000 lessons completed, and we have thousands of authors building out content. And this is really exciting, because ultimately it leads to kind of rapid innovation of our platform. We're always innovating new features. And a few of those that we'll see today have really just been released. So that's very much the promise of our platform. So with that introduction said, I want to spend most of this session in the tool and showing you how to build content using our rapid authoring features. So I'm going to hand over to Sam, and he'll be able to share his screen and take you through those features. So just bear with us a second and we'll hand over.
This is what you see on an account before any courses are put into it. And what you see here is you have a create a course button. And if you go down here, you can create a collection of courses or import courses if you had a different account. But right here is a new feature of ours called the content library. And if I click on the content library, I am presented with a lot of pre-made courses, free courses that are available for anybody to use. And this library is continually growing. And so I wanted to just go through this and just to show you some of the lessons here that for people that you could take and build off of. And I think the idea of the content library is there are pre-made courses that are good to go for your learners, but also there are what we call scaffolds, which are really more of an architecture of a lesson for a certain theme, and that you would build off of that. So you're not starting from ground zero when using our tool. And so today, the real goal of my goal of the day is to show you this content library, how to work with it, but also to how to work with our authoring tool, which also is a template-based tool. And I'll show you a few of those things here. Today, like I said, we are going to be pretending, let's say I'm L&D with Progressive Insurance, nice to meet you, and we're going to do cybersecurity. So I'm going to click here, it does a little check, and it's selected. And I'm actually going to show you a pre-made cybersecurity course a little later in our demo today. So I'm going to click here, 2 courses selected, import selected courses, and now they're available. They're available for my learners right away. In fact, if they were to log into the app, they would be right there instantly. You put in a lesson from our content library, and it's fully customizable, it's fully malleable. You can take away slides, you can add slides in. It is completely editable and free for you to use. Okay, so if I go to branding here, we have many different options for branding. We have a thumbnail, we have a cover image. This is what your your learner would see on their app. We have a background image, if we like a background image, and a logo. And as soon as I change these will be across all of my lessons in this course. So this is a PNG file. So this gray part will be see-through and will be the background of the lesson. It'll look like this in the top left corner. And that logo will be throughout all of the lessons that we have in this course with a click of a button. So we go to logo, go to Progressive Webinar, and we do the square logo. Oh, we do the logo PNG, square logo. There it is. Okay, great. So as soon as I load this in, you will be able to see it on our courses. I need this is the cover image that my learners will see before they click on the course. I actually have a background made for that, and you'll see it here. There it is. Now it will automatically have a black or a white text color, and those are the 2 options there. So if you have a light background, then you have a darker text color, obviously, and you'll be able to read the description of the course and the name of the course. And that will be on the app in your mobile device. Now we're not all the way done, but I still want to show you what our lessons are starting to look like just from those clicks. We're already starting to have a lesson that looks like our brand, and that's just from a few clicks. Now, there are some things here that we go, oh, I want a little bit more. I want to make it even more progressive-y, and I'm going to show you how to do that. We have actually blog articles about CSS if you want to get more in-depth about that, and I suggest checking them out on the EdApp blog. So this is what we're going to go with. I'm going to show you what this looks like now that we have these 4 elements in. Okay, so lessons. There you go. So as you can see now, we have the top corner is blue and white, just like the Progressive logo. We have the indicators blue and white. If I swipe through this, the buttons are now blue and white, just like it is on the website. And that was with a little bit of code, and that was it. It's very simple once you get the hang of it. Show you even more. So now I'm clicking edit lesson content. So this is where we're getting really into the authoring tool and how we can construct courses.
What's worth noting here, guys, as well, is that what you see on the left-hand side of the screen is the actual user experience for the mobile device. Obviously, we have a fully responsive experience. So any device that's used, the screen will adapt accordingly. So as you're actually authoring content, you can see the live experience on the left, which will ultimately give you a great understanding of what the learner will be engaging with.
If I click on add new slide at the bottom here, I'm going to be into the template library. Now we have about 4 different kinds of templates, or 4 categories of templates, I would say. We have our content templates, where you can populate this with any information that you'd like. It's very adaptable to what you need. You can select text, you can select images, you can select video, and all these templates are there for you to do that. Now, they may be doing similar things, as in they're a way of delivering information, but we find through data-driven authoring that a variety of ways of delivering information is engaging to learners, is that they will keep them to the last slide. If they don't know what's coming next, it is a more exciting experience, and it keeps people, completion rates are extremely high when we do that. It's part of micro-learning, is that. Now we have content slides, and underneath the content slides, we have these things that we call interaction slides, which are the concepts, multiple choice, numbers, and relationship slides. So before we get into the interaction slides, I'm actually going to show you a couple of these content slides and what they look like and what they do and how they feel. This comparison slide, for example, I simply go to the middle here, selected here, I go to the middle and I populate this content area with the pros, okay? Now that we use Markdown Language, so at first this is going, oh, this all looks like it's clumped together. For Markdown Language, you need to have double return in between things, and then it makes a list. And actually, if we did a hyphen here, it's going to make it a list as well with bullet points. At the top here, we also have Markdown tools. If you don't want to use the Markdown language, you can click highlight something, you can click bold, and it'll put in the Markdown language for you. I would actually put this at the beginning of the lesson. And the reason we do that is because when you put a interactive content slide towards the beginning, it shows your users that, hey, this is a fully interactive lesson. The range of motion of what you can do in the lesson is going to be different. You put your finger across the screen and you can see that it changes. So if I wanted to check if my learner was going to be paying attention to that, I would click here and I would click on multiple choice, and I would go down and I have a ton of multiple choice slides to choose from. I really love this one, that's the chat one, and the reason for that is because it puts the learner in a real situation. It's someone asking a question and there being answers to that question. So for our slide here, if I was to make up a question about password managers, I would say, or just about cybersecurity, more like, I could say, what do I do if I feel like my password manager has been compromised? Okay. Oh, that's in the wrong thing here. Sorry. Put this here. And then this will populate inside the speech bubble. So if your colleague asks, this, what would you tell them? You would either say, tell management right away. You could say, I don't know, you should Google what to do. These are incorrect answers, obviously. That sounds tough. So what would the answer be, right? If the person clicked on the right answer and they said, okay, I'm done, they'll say that's correct, and they'll be taken to a takeaway. Here, this is where we have an opportunity for reinforcement. So as we know, the only way to learn something really is to repeat it and to practice it and to apply it to our lives. When you're in a micro-learning setting and you only have a user for 10 slides, maybe 5 minutes, it's important that you reinforce your messages as much as you possibly can. And so EdApp is very unique in the way that it allows a message to get across to a learner 4 or 5 times in a very short amount of time, and it's going to feel like it doesn't feel repetitive. So if I clicked on tell management right away, I would write in my core message, this is where we repeat the answer in a very plain and complete sentence. And there's a reason why we do that. I'm going to show you why we do that. But first, I'm going to populate this for you, and just so you can see. So if your password is compromised, tell management right away. Okay, so that's a reinforcement. Now for the answer text, which corresponds with right here under that's correct, we restate the same thing, but we will probably reword it. So, and that's just so you're getting the same message, but it doesn't feel like, oh, they just said the same thing many, many times. So you could say, tell management right away if your password manager is compromised, and we also add context here so they can deal with it accordingly and test other systems. So now you have a context for the answer. So not only did you see it in the slide that came before it, that you should tell your manager if your password manager is compromised. That's one time, it's the first time you see it. You see it again in the actual question. You see it here in the core message, and you see it here in the answer and the takeaway in different words. So that's 3-4 times that you're getting reinforced that message. So by the end of this, you'll know that that's what you have to do, even if it's a very, very short lesson. Before I move on to games, I'm just going to show you a couple of these content slides where imagery is really heightened. We have the image slider template where I would put something like, let's say I go into my assets here and I have flow. I can put flow in very easily. I can make her take up the screen, and we could say, you know, protect your systems. That's a good one. Boom, is great. Oh, bam. Okay, so we have another one that's called the image gallery, where if you had a lot of text, you could break that text up and put it into these caption fields. So if you had, let's say, a page of text or maybe 3 paragraphs, you can fit a paragraph in each of these captions and associate it with an image. And it's very quick and easy to do. All of these images are highly replaceable. It's very easy. Okay, so moving on, after our content slides, we have these interaction slides, and some can test numbers and different values, different percentages. Like if you were talking about something like 50% of our computers have, or 50% of our compromised systems were from emails, you could have a pie chart question where it says select the percentage of our compromises or emails, etc., and it'll have the same answer text that we just went over with the core messages, answer text, and I'll have that opportunity for reinforcement. For our kind of rule of thumb, and this is based on just data from microlearning and our own systems, is that if you have a content slide, we like to, the golden kind of ratio with this is about 1 to 2 content slides per interaction. And if you have interaction throughout your entire lesson and your content slides have a lot of variety, you're going to get high completion rates. Okay, so
let's see a game.
Yeah, so the games, so a game usually comes at the end of a lesson. And the reason for that is that usually after users take a few lessons, they anticipate that game that's going to come at the end. And games also have it does a few things for us learners. Not only do they get points that will eventually be on a leaderboard where they compete with their teammates for, even rankings of how good did I complete my training. It also has an ability to review an entire lesson all at once. My favorite game is the true or false game, and it's very simple. It's a swipe left or right situation where you have a statement and it's either false or it's true. And you can populate this with as many statements as you'd like. There's a timer on it, and it allows you to review any messages that you'd like to. If you're counting how many times you're reinforcing a message, this is another place where you're reinforcing a message you want your learner to walk away with. If we change this, we also have other games like a word search, where you would type in some keywords from the lesson, maybe, cyber security and phishing. And it will create a word search from those 3 words. Another great game, I think this is a really good game just for learning, is the matching tiles game, where you could have a picture under here. This could be a picture. If you just click here, you could upload a picture and you can match it with text. You could have a situation and then match it with a solution. And it's this kind of flip card game. It's very visually interesting. It can be difficult if the time is low, but also it's just good for learning. And allowing learners to think on their feet about the information that they just had. We also have the letter jumble is a great game. This is very visual. This is going to deal with keywords again, but it'll have an image associated with it. If you remember the content slide where we have images associated with text, this might be helpful for that. And you would select the missing letter from this, from these. Oh, it's S. Boom, there it is. This can get progressively more difficult. Less letters will appear here. There'll be more to fill in. And those are great games. And I would just say explore, have fun. We're always, even at EdApp here, the team always finds new things that they're obsessed with that week and they're trying out. Jeopardy is really a great one. I love Jeopardy. I watch it every night, and it has a lot of potential here just for a lot of stimulating questions. These are all going to be true or false questions, and you have different categories and they have progressive amount of points here.
Brilliant. Thank you for that overview, Sam. As we only have 10 minutes left in the session, I might take over here and just do a recap on our offering.
Okay, sure.
But before we wrap up, what I wanted to do, obviously we've spoken really extensively about authoring with our solution. But as I mentioned earlier, we are a solution that offer the LMS as well. So let's talk about a few features that really make us unique in that regard. So first of those is our data-driven authoring features, which Sam touched upon very, very slightly, but within that authoring library that you see there are features to help you author. So to help new users to our platform understand which templates to use and which are most popular with our audience. The second thing that makes us really different is the fact that we're a mobile first solution. So we're not a traditional solution that is thought about mobile delivery as an afterthought. We start at mobile, and that ultimately leads to a really fantastic user experience. Thirdly, we have a feature that offers built-in translation, which is an integration with Google's Google Translate API that has machine learning in it, and that allows you to translate any of your courseware from English to over 100 different languages. And for the most common languages, we see an accuracy of around 80 to 90% for those translations. Gamification and rewards. So we have the ability through a feature called Real Rewards to be able to allow you to distribute electronic gift cards to your learners via their kind of performance. So as a learner answers a question correctly, they earn what we call is a star. It's our virtual currency. And then that star can then be played for prizing. So providing those incentives really leads into the fifth point, which is really strong for our platform, which is creating a learning culture. We want to make learning really exciting. We want to make it something that your staff will do and really be excited about engaging with. And prizing and different features like leaderboards, for example, tends to do that in our experience. And we hear a lot of our customers talk about the fact that their employees will engage with EdApp in their downtime, just as they would do with a social media app like Instagram. The sixth point there is actionable reports. And actionable reports will allow you to actually target users depending upon their participation. For example, segmenting an audience of learners that might have logged into the platform but haven't yet started any material. And then you can go in and quickly key in a notification and either send a push or an email to activate those users. Offline mode is really fun. It works a lot like the way that the user experience works on the Netflix app, where you can download material to the device and then access it when you don't have connectivity. Brain Boost is really a big innovation for us. It's a feature that uses space repetition, the SM2 algorithm to be specific, in order to serve up content to learners that they've engaged with previously and demonstrated that they don't quite understand. For example, they've answered one of those interactive assessments incorrectly. The algorithm will pull that content out of the lesson and put it in a separate daily quiz that is essentially shown to the learner until they've demonstrated that they understand. Notifications. So we have automated notifications that are sent when any new material is available to the learner. And we also have manual notifications. So notifications that can be used to reach out to an individual learner or user group. Peer and social learning. So this is quite a big feature. It allows your audience to be able to participate and engage with one another, from anything from participating in a chat feed or to actually uploading video of themselves. And an example of that might be you want your peers to upload videos of themselves practicing their sales pitch, for example, or handling a customer objection, or pouring the perfect latte, for example, and we can facilitate that within our platform. Number 11, further reflection. So we have a feature that's actually being released in a couple of weeks that will allow you to create discussion boards within the platform and allow further kind of peer learning. And then 12 there, our editable content library. So Sam gave you a quick preview of that. And really, this is for us, this is very much a starting point. EdApp was initially kind of designed to be completely customizable content, and of which it currently is. But we've started to explore the idea of a content library, because we know that L&D organizations and departments need help. So you can't just build everything from scratch every time. So our content library will give you resources to be able to supplement your curriculum. So wrapping up, we do have a free 30-day trial on the platform. We want our potential customers to be able to really have a play around with the authoring tool, see the user experience, and really put us to the test. So we have a 30-day trial that will allow you to do that if you're interested. So just head to edapp.com and you can just register with an email address. That's all you need to enter to get the trial.